The 763rd Bitter Litany, Chapter the 6th, The Power to Do, in which what is transcends what ought to be. A brief digression. When an imperial renewal is called for, the action itself is performed by a peer of immense power, as they have been invested with the blood of the emperor himself to reduce all living things to a sludge of baser components. But they have no discretion to exercise that power without the permission of those who have been invested with that power of discretion, who further require certain bureaucratic permissions to exercise that discretion. There are two questions I wish the reader to consider in light of this statement. Firstly, when the rules require such a diversity of permissions to act in most cases, who truly has power? Secondly, thematic relevance aside, why include this digression in this place in the narrative, as Marquis Bahamut escorts Inquisitor Lorelei Aspetus from their box on the mustering grounds of House Imperialis on the tournament day? In the wake of escorting the Inquisitor from what Bahamut had to this point assumed was their box, an altercation occurred, predicated on that peculiar assumption. Despite the box itself being listed in event documentation as reserved for those appointed to be the master of ceremonies for the tournament that day, which was officially called by the Grand Duke Maximus Rex of the High House Imperialis, and held in the mustering grounds constructed for the exclusive use of the retainers and men-at-arms for the High House Imperialis, deep within the section of the Citadel policed, staffed, managed, and maintained for nearly a millennium by the High House Imperialis, this box was not, in truth, the box of any such member of the High House Imperialis, but rather, by all law and tradition, this particular box is, by clear observation of the Archduchess-in-Waiting Renatia Zonakostovich, and therefore irrevocably, the sole possession of those holding the title of Archduke. And anyone who believed it to be otherwise, though they may claim some sense or experience or policy to the contrary, is worthy of rebuke and censure for their refusal to acknowledge a truth that has always been. Marquis Bahamut Imperialis ought bear shame for their denial of this truth for quite some time. Indeed, a faux pas that they would, alone and unprovoked, dare anything but obsequious congeniality to a personally invited guest of the Archduchess-in-Waiting in her own box. I take back all the nice things I said about Bahamut's cloak. To set aside the grace and magnanimity with which the Archduchess-in-Waiting corrected the trespasses of the Marquis, 3 days' travel from the city, there is a hamlet called Utra where the Ordo Principium Barracks is maintained, though no one seems quite sure which of the Ordos maintains it, or has need of its operations. Utra is an otherwise unremarkable collection of hovels, which is why it is strange that, sometime prior to the grand tournament, announced from a generic Archduke's box, a woman approximating the description of later Deirdre Aspetus, though she was great with child, and as an unmarried lady one could never presume that would be a feature of her description, was seen to be brought into this barracks. And then, 3 days after Marquis Bahamut's embarrassment, the Sangark and Absentia Anatel was seen to approach the barracks and eventually be allowed inside. Similarly, the Administratic 7th class Terrasar Garrus was seen to be attempting to enter the barracks. There were even reports of such a personage as the Dowager Countess Kanostia Zonakostovich brazen in the proximity. With all of these important people in such an apparently unimportant place, one wonders who might else arrive.
Renatia Zonakostovich. Following a disappointing showing by your brazen warrior who was, frankly, put up as a sacrifice, you exit the arena and go about your business. Where is your next appointment? Where are you headed? Let the record show that on video, Emily just poured like a giant glass of Fresca into a wine glass. Very, very Renatia move. Like, very slowly.
It's getting into character, darling.
Yeah.
In another very Renatia move, when you pour wine into a glass, you're only supposed to go out into, particularly this shape of glass, you're only supposed to go to round about the widest point of the glass, so there's a fair amount of space up to the top. That does leave a lot of glass, and this glass is roughly 3/4 full.
Yeah.
Which I would say is also getting into character.
Yeah, very...
It's Fresca, not blood, not some
Yeah.
poor schmuck
Oh,
named
dang, where's my
Fresca that
food coloring?
But you, dear listener, who are painting a picture with your mind, can imagine a 3/4 full glass of wine while Renatia walks about the Citadel exiting the arena. Now, Renatia, what is your next appointment? What's next on your docket?
Well, next, Renatia is going to a meeting they weren't sure if they were actually going to show up for. Underneath, yet another little bridge, quiet little space in a corner, to see someone they always enjoy, not in the slightest, coming face to face with.
And who is that?
Their sister, Canastia.
I was about to be offended you're seeing other spies.
Have you met our family? I mean, kind of.
True.
You arrive neath the bridge. Now, we are still in the Citadel, so I need to establish that, like, this is an indoor bridge. You are in a grassy area, cobble paths and everything, but the Citadel is like the size of a city, and so you can be in a park under a bridge and still have a roof over your head. This is a massive place. It's like there's cities where like you just go floors after floors after floors and you like never actually reach the ground level, you know? And Canastia has not arrived.
Shocking.
Now, normally when she needs to miss a meeting, she leaves a note or sends a messenger. In this case, you finally hear footsteps walking up from behind you from the side of the bridge that creates a blind spot around the bend. These footsteps are heavier than any messenger you've ever heard and are accompanied by the clanking of fine armor as Archduke Alistair walks around the corner.
I feel like Renatia first spots them as a reflection in her wine glass that she's held up to kind of catch a view around the bend. It is now established that, yeah, sure, I brought the wine with me. Why not?
Yeah.
It's good wine. Well, not someone I expected to see in a place like this.
Renatia Zanakostovich. How interesting that we would have the same meeting point for our own spy networks, and yet we've never crossed paths here in the past. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I simply took a stroll to take in the air after the wonderful display of prowess witnessed.
Alistair is still dressed for the games, which means he's in full combat regalia. His armor is silvery and white with gold and blue trim, and he generally trends towards fashioning himself to look slightly more human-like, so there is generally more color to his skin. He also carries a little bit of weight, so he's not like gaunt and shriveled like some of the other ancient vampires. He also, in true classic like fun Anne Rice style vampire fashion, loves the long platinum blonde hair look. He is absolutely one of those, if you met him early on in a video game, he would be like the guy that gives you a bunch of quests when you're starting out, and then it turns out he was the bad guy all along.
We just walked into Castlevania.
Yeah, that's Alistair.
Lorelei has not confirmed, but she has more than once mentioned the rumor that his hair is not naturally that color. He bleaches it.
Oh, yeah.
Roll to spot roots.
This Lorelei's got dark red hair.
He finally responds to your dodge about just being out for a stroll, and he says, "That's funny. I was here for the same thing. I wonder if we were hoping upon a chance meeting with the same person as well. Coincidences seem to be stacking up. Wouldn't you agree?"
I don't believe in coincidences. I would like to read his face.
Oh yeah. Toss it.
Don't fail me this time. You were very mean last week. Last week? Maybe it was last week. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, dear listener.
Oh, that's so much better. That's a 10.
On a 10, ask 2 questions from the list below, and I must answer honestly.
Be a little vain. What do you really think of me?
This is very complicated. You two have known each other for centuries. You have known Alistair when you were in the court of your father before you ascended. You have known Alistair now for a couple of centuries in your new Archduke in waiting status. You have gotten into political tussles with Alistair, both of you being Archdukes, and you have also relied on Alistair in the past because he is the Archduke of the Ordo Principium. The fact is, you do need him on occasion. What he really thinks of you is he is both frustrated that you are the Archduke in waiting, and he is also afraid of you. And it is for the exact same reason. And that is because you are your father's daughter. And that powerful Xanakostovich blood, which is so inexplicably tied to the Emperor and carries so much trust in the highest court and so much unbelievable, just raw power, is undeniable. He hates the House of Xanakostovich. He finds you frustrating. He doesn't think that any of you are worthy of the station that you have, and he puts all of that on you because you are the current head of the house. But what's worse is the fact is you are not Vladislav, and at least Vladislav had a millennia-long history of relationships and even supposedly a personal relationship with the Emperor going back 1,000 years or more, and you don't have that. And so he sees you as politically vulnerable, but interpersonally, very dangerous. That is a hard thing for such a powerful man to deal with. You get 2 questions, though. You actually get to do a second one.
Yeah. What drives him to meet with Canastia?
He wasn't trying to meet with Canastia. He was trying to catch you meeting with Canastia.
Separate question, not related to this.
Sure.
Did he win his battle? Like, did his house win his battle?
No. Lost it.
Fantastic. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Lost it to a Magmalo.
Yeah.
Oh. It is such a shame that neither of us could be toasting to victory, but shall we at least toast to shared moments, I suppose?
Yes, I suppose. I had hoped to encounter you at some point so that we could have a conversation about the showing of your brazen today. It is disappointing that you were defeated, but that being said, I think that there's something to be said that your best brazen had to be defeated by one of the finest vampire warriors from the High House. It's certainly commendable. There is something to that. Interesting what happened to him, though. Had you noticed?
Too egregious, yes. Quite interesting. He seemed to struggle with that monstrosity for a while. He may not have been fully recovered after it.
Not fully recovered. He was bloodlusted. It was barbaric.
That's what old vampire blood can do to you. Bring out the beast we truly are to some.
On the subject of beasts, what is your thoughts on these unfettered attempts by the House of Kirinthal to cut into centuries-long tradition of trained warriors by our houses protecting the Empire and replacing them with abominations?
I think abominations is a bit of a strong word. Do you not remember the tradition of drakes goes back for millennia? What are drakes but a beast?
Drakes are tamed and bred and have been for a long time.
And we can tame these as well.
Do you think so?
Well, you simply have to understand how to speak to them. Usually through whoever's pulling the strings.
These creatures have no strings. You can't speak to them like you could a drake. They can't be trained. They're just feral and always will be.
Some might say we were feral once. Are you afraid?
He finally laughs and says, I know you're toying with me, Renatia. You don't agree with that.
The Empire itself spreads like a feral species. We're simply the ones on top.
Go on.
I think you are feeling threatened. Threatened by changes that we may not have under control. Everything changes.
It is my job, dear Renatia, to always feel threatened. The Ordo Principium is to be under a state of constant vigilance. So, your assessment is correct. I do feel threatened. The entire Empire should feel threatened, but it is my job to make sure that it does not. Even as we have problems inside of our own gates, even as we endorse activities by rogue houses. For example, the behavior of Magmullo. Do you really think that they ambushed your own brazen company on the road to the Bowerlands?
The data is so far inconclusive, since you seem to like data so much, but would it really be so surprising? Pay the right price, and anything is possible.
Our houses should not be for sale. We are not mercenaries. We are the Empire. And like you said, it spreads like a feral animal, but we are on top. Wouldn't you hold the lower houses to the same expectation?
Well, I can understand the logic in what you're saying, and well, I do agree, of course, that we should all be responsible for maintaining our wonderful life in the Empire. I think you are a bit afraid of change. The Order's views are a little outdated.
He nakedly attempts to change the subject because he doesn't want to have that fight right now. And he quickly pivots to saying, speaking of change, how would you feel if a legate count sat on a parcel of land for too long with no intention of returning it to one of the non-Principium houses?
I think it would be a very dangerous precedent that would encourage more to do the same.
I completely agree. We cannot have our best captains thinking that they are conquerors themselves. They conquer in the name of the Empire. We at least agree on that, don't we?
Renatia does not actually answer to that. Simply a small raised, tipped wine glass, but no truly spoken response.
He lets that pause go on just a little longer than anyone else would. And you get the feeling that he is feeling something out.
Is he trying to read my face?
Yeah, he's using the read someone's face move. Now, I don't roll, so I'm making a hard move, basically, on my end, more or less. I have a proposal for you.
Oh?
Yes. A simple one, really. Your brazen are something on the back foot. And I think that while you carry a countenance of flippancy, I think that you also have reason to be threatened. Part of your legitimacy in the Empire, your role, is supplying one of the most important security forces in the entire East. And that is with the Brazen. A company ambushed potentially by one of our own houses. And your Brazen failed at the trials today. Did well, but is clearly not on top anymore. It would seem to me that the Brazen are waning in quality. So where you say that I am afraid of change, I think that you should be too. Now, that being said, I would like to propose that we solve one problem with another. Are you familiar with the name Circumsuri?
I have heard the name, yes.
Circumsuri is the aforementioned legate count, who is currently holding the Shadal's corridor. Circumsuri has not turned the corridor over, neither to Kiranthal, neither to Dunes, neither to the High House. I believe that he is trying to stake a personal claim and establish his own house there with the support of the nobility. And I believe that he is garrisoning a force at a place in the northeast of the Shadal corridor called Dragstaff Gulch. What if we combine forces? The Ordo Principium and the Brazen go and occupy the Gulch as a show of force, telling one of my, frankly, finest agents that it is time to leave. What do you say?
Well, I must admit, I'm not opposed to considering this idea. The corridor would be quite devastating to lose.
What would be more so devastating would, as you said, establishing a precedent that our armies can claim lands for their own. Everything is owned by the Emperor. It is all loaned to us, including our lives.
I believe a formal arrangement should be made, but I think this may be agreeable.
How many legion of Brazen can you spare?
For how long?
As long as it takes. What, do you have other campaigns?
Oh, I just need to make sure that I know where all of my pieces are.
You may send missive, but I believe that it is in the best interests of both of our houses and the Emperor that we make this show of force especially devastating.
Of course.
Very good. It has been a pleasure. Give my regards to your sister, by the way. I've heard she's been sniffing around the court of Bahamut.
Yes, I've heard the same.
He has already started walking away as you sort of flippantly speak these words.
Ugh. How dull. But interesting. Shadow's corridor.
You finally get a missive from Canastia. It is not a messenger. It is not a mark. It is, in fact, a tickle that you get by way of, I mean, you two are connected pretty strongly.
A poke of mind.
You get a tickle. She is not in the Citadel and is actually potentially in danger right now. And so is indisposed.
Well,
Oh, darn.
at least I got to enjoy my wine.
Zad, you're making a face about that whole scene.
Circum's making a face.
They just don't know what happened to Circum, huh?
No, they don't.
No.
Why would they?
What?
This is yet another example of, like, what they think the problem is
Yeah.
not the problem. The actual problem is way fucking worse.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think Renatia might just like finish the rest of her wine, toss the glass behind, and go off to find Canastia.
Traditional toast of what is man, but a miserable pile of secrets.
You don't bring a wine glass to a game that you're not willing to part with.
Your personal wine groomsman dutifully sweeps it up very quickly and then continues following you.
Oh no!
You say that? That's one of the best, like, compensated jobs you can have.
Good job.
honestly.
If you're quick, you got job security, you have proximity to the seats of power, the pay, not bad.
It's always helpful to have a substantial amount of broken glass with you.
Oh
Just
yeah,
in case.
like you can just take that, grind it back up, make new wine glasses, and eventually you got a business going. Like, oh yeah, no, the branding is powerful stuff.
Plus, a lot of lower nobles will pay for wine glasses that have been broken by higher standing individuals.
And bit, that was perfect. I love that. Is awesome. I want to be a wine groomsman now.
Live your dreams. Live your dreams.
So I got a question for Bahamut.
Yes.
Rex wants to have a very serious conversation with you and bring you in on something. Where would Rex do this?
I mean, we are already having it in the box.
I'm thinking he's pretty lofty, and so he wouldn't just like have the conversation. Like the box is not where you have a conversation like this. It's got to be somewhere else.
There's this throne room where a fight's happening in Dark Souls 2 that I'm thinking of, and I can't actually remember what the fight is. Imagine somebody took a room that was the size of a ballroom oriented it so that the door is as far away as possible from the desk,
Yes.
and then appointed it so that when you walk through the door, all of the furnishings and the decoration and even the shape and pattern of the carpet create this forced perspective view where Maximus's desk, which is up on like this little 3-step dais, but still like a desk, and it looks almost impossibly far away, and yet like immediately in front of you, like one of those dolly zooms that they invented, I think that like Hitchcock invented, and you have to make that walk. The windows are such that when you are having meetings there, the light coming in from the windows will almost nip at your feet, like it's going to come and get you. Because, like, the sunlight still kind of hurts. We're vampires, we can get out in it, but it's always right on the cusp of where you're walking. It's never actually too bright because of the ways that the windows have been shaped. And so, per this summons, Bahamut comes in through the door and makes this impossibly seeming long walk, while this monolith of a vampire is at his desk, reading and signing and not looking up.
You know he knows you're in there. He heard the door open. He hears the footsteps that seem to echo for 3 seconds per pace.
Even though you're walking on carpet. Insane.
Yeah. Oh no, it still does, like, clicky footsteps. As you finally approach the desk, you notice that generally when people meet with him in this place, he makes them stand the whole time. He has actually recovered a plush chair for the other side of the desk. And he looks up briefly and then motions towards the chair.
Before sitting down, I reach up and undo the chain that holds the cape onto my shoulders and fold it neatly. A servant comes with a coat rack and places it next to the chair, and I hang it on that, and then I sit.
In response to this action, he does something very curious. He gets slightly less tense and undoes the buckle on his pauldrons, and then hands them to the servant to hang up on the coat rack. And then he says, the first thing, finally, he says, "All of you are dismissed. Go now." And the servants, like, scatter.
You bid me come, sir.
Yes, I did. He pulls open a drawer. He pulls out a bottle of aged honey mead and sets it on the desk, and then procures 2 clay glasses. The honey mead, you can already tell, is from the Twins Cradles region, a region that has not been able to sustain apiaries for a couple of centuries since it was taken by the Empire. And he pours 2 glasses each and slides one your way, and then sets the bottle equidistant between you. An invitation basically saying, drink as much as you like.
A dire misadventure. So I take a sip of the mead from the Twins' Cradle.
He takes a sip, he sets it down. I have kept you at arm's distance for a long time, Bahamut. But there is something stirring that I have decided that I need to bring you in. What happened to your brother today is troubling. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir.
Do you know of his condition?
The extent of my knowledge on his condition is that he was in a state of blood frenzy before his battle with the Brazen.
That is correct. Do you know of his condition currently?
I do not, sir.
He might not live. The blood that he drank from the Brazen may have been poisoned.
Something to note is how small Bahamut looks in this chair. We've seen them with their cape, and that gives them a great amount of presence. but they're sitting in this chair, very straight, knees together, feet flat on the floor, hands folded in their lap, and Bahamut is and has always been very thin. Their hair is like teased out and voluminous, but I think ultimately this is the most fearful they have ever felt, and they are fighting desperately to keep that from actually like hitting their eyes.
Almost as if Maximus sees that in you before you respond. You see him slam his fist down on the desk. Not in like performative anger, but in genuine frustration. And then he leans back in his chair and makes eye contact sort of down and to the left, looking at the floor. You can see that he is seething. The seething is not directed at you.
Mm-hmm. Do we know who is responsible, sir?
Who else?
Zanakostovich.
Yes. And I hold Kirinthal culpable as well. The blood frenzy occurred after his bout with that chimera, that monstrosity. I can only assume that something in the beast's stinger was meant specifically to target vampires and cause such a state. It could very well be that they conspired. The first one drove him mad with hunger, and then the second made him drink a body full of poison. Let the record show Lex is making the biggest "did I do that" face.
We're not here to judge. Smart.
It's remarkable cunning for the two that I met today.
Yes, and you were in a box with them the entire day. Tell me, what did you learn?
Dr. Gwaine Kirinthal takes a callous pride in his creations, though they are as a part of him, and he readily discards them, much as one clips off a fingernail that's grown too long, even if it is beautifully painted. The both of them are short-sighted, venal, self-possessed. They lack your vision, sir. They lack true perspective of the project of the Empire.
Bahamut, I know that for your entire life, you have gotten used to throwing yourself at my feet, but you can dispense with the empty compliments.
They lack our perspective, sir. They lack our vision. They lack our love for the Empire. I do not seek merely to flatter you. I am, after all, your child. I am the blood of your blood. That which you have passes to me in my turn. If that is what is to come, if these are more than the mere tools of the Empire, the two that I spent this afternoon in the box of today, then our name itself becomes untrue, and the Empire will die.
The Empire, or rather the Emperor, cannot die. We know that. That is why we give all of our faith to him. Let me give you a higher perspective. It is not just our vision which is closest to the Emperor, but rather it is the very concept of a singular vision. I would contend to you that any assemblage of houses shall result in the same outcome. If it were not us as the High House, and instead it were Zanakostovich, then the lower houses would eat Zanakostovich from the ankles. If it were Kirinthal as the High House, then the lower houses would attempt to devour Kirinthal. The piranhas of the lower houses continue to hamstring our efforts, and therefore the larger efforts of the Emperor himself. But there are those who would change that. Bahamut, There does not need to be a House Senakostovich. There does not need to be a House Kirinthal. There does not need to be an Ordo Principium. There does not need to be a Sangark, House Dunes, House Magmalo. This balkanization of our empire is madness. We could have a singular vision. We could have one direction, and that is the direction which the Emperor gives us. Do you see now?
Bahamut's hand starts drifting towards their vest pocket, the same one that has the outside pocket has the slightly crumpled note that Maximus had delivered at the beginning, and calling for the elimination of Dunes. And then on the inside is the note that Bahamut received from Canastia, saying that the rebels believe that the centralization, the consolidation of power within the Empire is a weakness.
He splays them out before him.
No, like my hand, it's the notes are
you
still
haven't
in my
shown.
pocket.
Oh, you're just like reminding yourself of this. Got it. Okay, you're just doing a callback. Gotcha.
Right. And this is why you would see House Dunes eliminated. A singular vision without question or competition.
We deal with Dunes. We deal with Magmalo. We deal with Kirinthal. We deal with Oberon and Titan. We deal with Zanakostovich. Then the Administratum. Then the Ordo Principium. In that order.
What is it that you would have me do, sir?
Something is to come to pass soon. You met one of the Ordo Principium's agents. I believe her name is Lorelei, today in the box, did you not?
She put in an appearance, yes. She seems to be
Did she
well
task you
acquainted
to
with...
do anything, Bahamut? He intentionally interrupts you. He's sort of heaping this on here. There is no need to hide anything from me, Bahamut. Any skullduggery you have been up to is just the art of politicking, and all will be forgiven. However, I do need to operate on the best possible knowledge.
I just said, hey, you want to get coffee and talk about this stuff later, and then you said, hey, can you give me a... Can you put the
Can you give me a
paperwork in
bomb?
so I can have a renewal? Can you give me a weapon of mass destruction? She's like, sure.
About that coffee, though, like...
No requests have been made in earnest. We spoke for some time as I escorted her from the stadium proper.
Oh man, is there a move
My
to lie to someone's fucking face?
My intention has been to secure her services away from House Zanakostovich, to prove that those with vision for better friends.
That makes sense to me, then. Something is to come to pass, if it has not already, which Lorelei is intimately involved in. In a town about 3 days west of the Citadel, a child is being born in a barracks. I need you to secure that child and bring it to me.
Whoever was supposed to keep that secret being fired. No one was supposed to know where she was, and everyone knows where she was.
Well, he was sharing a box with Alistair.
True. Lorelei's just sitting was over here like, what do I pay you people for?
Secure the child and bring the child to me. For that child is your brother's blood.
Then the new scion of House Imperialis shall be presented to you 6 days hence.
Very well. If you succeed in this, then I will ensure that your future in the Empire will be prosperous and with a greater level of autonomy.
I have no doubt, sir. And Bahamut stands, and they grab the cape off of the coat rack, and before putting it on, they have it folded over one arm, and they turn back to Maximus Rex and bow very deeply And when they go back to standing, they look Maximus Rex in the eye and say, "Await my return." And with a flourish, they sweep the cape out, and it cuts a wide arc and settles over their shoulders as they walk away.
You hear, as you walk away, briskly and triumphantly, another glass getting poured and then sort of slammed down on the desk. When you close the door behind you, the grand doors behind you, you hear, as if it did in the distance, a loud and piercing scream of rage come from within.
Within the office, or?
From the office. You are familiar with this. He is big mad and barely holding it together. He is not happy about the Regis situation.
I mean, same, but
This might be the closest you've ever been to your father, Maximus Rex, in that you both share the exact same emotion related to Regis's situation. You get the feeling as you walk away that if he saw Renatia, he would personally kill her.
as that scream dies, Bahamut turns to a servant and says, "Prepare a coach and send word to..." How do I not do this, obviously?
What are you trying to do? And maybe there's a move.
It's time to meet with Renatia, because I'm very nearly about to lose my brother, and in this, the only time that my father and I have had the same feelings about something, that we have desired the same thing, the only thing that has become clear is the only way that I can get revenge for the death of my brother is to make sure that Maximus Rex cannot hurt anybody again.
Oh!
And it is time.
Hello?
Oh, you know what I'm going to do? So
Mhm.
there is a move for this. We're going to
Okay.
use the tend to your own affairs move.
Yes.
And we are going to do it in kind of a roundabout way. Basically, you spend a token from your position, name the attachment you attend to. In this case, it would be Regis. You are kind of attending to your connection to Regis, either by finding a way to save him, or if he does die, honoring his memory. He remains an attachment even if he dies. And then we figure out what you need to sacrifice in order to do this secretly so that you can meet with Renatia. What do you think about that?
Instead of, because I don't think this is actually one hatchets.
Oh, he's just a guy we've been centering?
He's not one of my bonds.
Not
He's one of my
mechanically.
admirers. He's my chief admirer.
Oh.
The bond I actually want to leverage here is Odette.
Oh. Delightful.
I've been wanting to talk to Odette
Rob's thrilled.
for... Yes. Rob?
Just did the cutest little shimmy.
So, Bahamut comes out of that chamber, and as the scream fades, they turn to a servant and say, "Prepare a carriage. I have places that I must be." And then they walk off towards, I think, just one of the internal gardens in the House Imperialis estate.
You tell me what you're leveraging, or what you're attending to, I guess, and then I tell you what you must sacrifice to strengthen the attachment. But I will also sort of let this get you in a roundabout way to your meeting with Renatia.
I am attending to my priorities.
Which attachment would you like to weaken?
I will weaken my attachment to Jane Barrow, childhood baker. She does not matter anymore.
So Odette is going to get basically, I think, a +1, and Jane Barrow is going to get a -1 now. So this will actually change your stats.
+1 to mist and a -1 to shadows, bringing that down to a 0.
And am I to understand that you are actually praying to Odette in these gardens?
I don't think that we pray to Odette. I would like Odette to appear for a conversation, if that's possible.
You don't just be like, "Hey, Odette, I want to chat." Like, you don't just call him on a cell phone. Like, what is, like, the ritual, or what is the thing that you do to draw forth the actual god of heroism?
Well, heroism is not correct.
Not anymore.
If I'm remembering from the initial character building, you're not aware you're speaking to a god, right? You think this is just a really, like, a guy who seems to, like, want to encourage you, or is that not something we've... Yeah.
I don't necessarily even care about what Odette is, but you always seem to be there when I need to have this conversation, when I need this encouragement. The thing that I have here is sworn to see your dreams come true. With Regis dying, I'm losing bright futures.
Oh no!
Yeah,
He's not dead yet.
the important one too.
I haven't killed him on screen.
Bahamut goes out into this garden and stops and almost just starts speaking to no one and says, "Whenever I fear that my reach has exceeded my grasp, I see that those around me dance on nothing but air, and I know that I too could fly, if I just were to do it." That is how you open a conversation with Odette.
You have been listening to Game Woven, a creative storytelling collective building a world one game at a time. This week we have been playing The Bitter Litany, a Powered by the Apocalypse game of tragic fantasy intrigue by Luke Jordan, which is still in development as we play it, but keep an eye out for it soon. This week our players are the core cast of myself, Brianna Jean, TT Benjamin, Robbie Rowling, Zach Yolen Green, Emily Anderson, and Lex Olden. If you like what we're doing, feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app, and you can support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/gamewoven, as well as supporting the network we are a part of, which is the One Shot Podcast Network, where we have just some truly amazing shows that we get to be affiliated with. And if you're looking for something to listen to, go check them out.